KSW.
Please welcome the show from Penn and Teller. It's Penn Jillette.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, man.
Experienced. Here we are on the morning experience.
Oh, there you go.
Not necessarily stoned, but beautiful.
How about that? Thank you very much.
As Jimi Hendrix said, I mean, that's Seattle.
That's right.
You want to quote Hendrix in the first 3 minutes if you're in Seattle.
You're absolutely right.
What else you got?
Well, let's see. Who else we got buried around here? Bruce
Lee. Not just buried, he also lived around here.
That's true.
Just they didn't just lug him in.
We got to find somewhere to put him.
I'll put him in Seattle. That's a rock star dump. We'll get Kurt Cobain. Let's just bury them all there. What the hell? Put Dylan there. I mean, he's from Minnesota, but they got a nice piece of land. It's moist. You can dig. You can dig in the dirt. It's a good place to bury Jimmy James.
Listen, let me tell you something. Our Chamber of Commerce needs something. Who comes to Seattle? But we haven't seen you in 10 years. You know how it is.
Exactly.
We'll take your dead bodies just to give us something.
I'm coming here because I'm checking out a burial plot. Penn Jillette's buried here in Seattle.
Exactly.
Didn't live really a day of his life here, but it's a nice place to be buried. We like it.
After you're gone, we get to change the story just like America anyway.
You stay moist in Seattle. When you're buried in Seattle, it's not that dried out like CSI. No. They show you something looks like a mummy. No, you got a proper dead body with like fruit flies growing in it. You know?
That's it. That's why I challenge where you built your house. You should have built it out here. Get the proper amount of moisture.
Sure. You could also have Jimi Hendrix buried in your backyard.
We can arrange that. Bruce Lee as well is buried here, so you can have a twofer.
And one day
Bruce Lee's buried in Seattle?
Yeah.
You just made that up.
No, it's true. He's out here as well.
Was that Renton, I think? Or
he's right up the street.
You've shocked me.
Yeah, people actually go and they do vigils every anniversary of their death because we all celebrate the time he wasn't alive.
Yeah. No, but why did BruceLee choose to?
I think he spent some time out here too, if I'm not mistaken.
It's moist out here.
You're more limber out here. You can't do all your karate moves in the desert.
I would imagine Bruce Lee had some aches and pains.
Yeah.
You get punched in the face by really tall basketball players. I imagine things hurt after a while.
Yeah, this is the place for all your aches and pains. Everybody retires out here with aches and pains.
Wait a second. They also retire to the desert with aches and pains. Is it dry or wet that's better?
No, the wet is actually bad. You're right.
Yeah, I would think so.
But for some reason, these guys...
You're saying nonsense on the radio.
Well, these guys are in great shape.
People turn into the BJ Experience for medical advice. They don't turn it...
You're absolutely right.
We are the WebMD of the airwaves.
I don't know what we're doing. I mean, one day on the show he's saying it's dry for the joints. The next day it's wet for the joints.
Hold on, we have an update right here. We'll tell you exactly what the hell Bruce Lee's all about. Rev, what's the story of Bruce Lee being buried here?
Well, thanks, BJ. According to Wikipedia, he moved to Seattle in 1959 to continue his high school education. So he originally lived in San Francisco, but moved up here. Back to you.
All right, there you go.
His high school education?
That's right, big education.
Bruce Lee wanted to have something to fall back on.
Think about it. He would not have been able to deliver those Green Hornet lines the way he did if not for his great Seattle high school education.
Well, son, if beating people senseless doesn't work out, you should be able to fall back on being a census taker.
Yeah, exactly.
So go to Seattle and go to high school.
That's right.
Does that mean that Brandon Lee's buried here, too?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
How about that? Now we got 3.
We got 3 people and 4 because Penn Jillette is going to be dead.
I certainly am. I'm picking out a nice plot while I'm here.
All right,
I'm sure Kenny G will when it's his time to go too.
Now let me get this.
Can we make it his time to go today?
Yeah, I'm with
Can
you.
we just make Could Seattle all join hands and decide to beat Kenny G to death today?
Do you realize, by the way,
we're just going to hope for his death, and make it happen.
One thing we've learned. The one thing we've learned in 50,000 years of this planet, praying and hoping don't work. Beating with a stick, really well. If you're talking about efficiency, praying and hoping don't do much.
That's a really good point. I mean, what finally mobilized a bunch of people to all of a sudden get together and try to get on the same page? The beating of Jesus. Whether he was alive or not, that mobilized a bunch of people.
Here's what I'm saying. Hope for my death. Beat Kenny G to death.
Yes.
That's the bumper sticker I would like to go around here. You can hope for my death all you want. Just don't hit me in the head with a stick.
So I would think if we have these secret covert organizations, you know what I mean? Like the Shadow Society.
Both secret and covert?
Yes.
Both, okay.
Oh, well, no, these are the hyper.
I see.
When you use 2 adjectives, you know it's a hyper organization. So if we get these secret covert organizations, anecdotally speaking, have found out that everybody wants Kenny G dead. Wouldn't that mobilize the entire world? Think of the advancements in the Middle East. Think about all. I mean, look at Pakistan. Think of them guys.
They didn't even bother to WikiLeak it.
Yeah,
it's just so well known. We didn't even. Hillary's not even doing that behind anyone's back. It's just right out there in the open.
They should.
But is Kenny G from Seattle?
Yeah.
Oh,
he's another one.
It's a musical hotbed out here.
So Penn,
there are those Kenny G Hendrix jams.
Wouldn't you want to be associated with that? You've got Cato, you've got Hendrix, and Kenny G. Shouldn't Penn Jillette be buried out here as well?
You've convinced me.
All right, come on.
Just the idea of nice, moist dirt being around me, being buried in coffee grounds. Because when I was a child, I had a little worm farm.
Did you really?
And we had night crawlers, and we'd go out night crawling, which did not mean the same thing it did to Manson. And we would pick up these worms, and we could sell them for bait to each other. It was early enterprise. And, unlike the Fed, we didn't just print more worms. We ran out of them. We went and got them.
You actually got the physical things to back it up.
Isn't that a nutty thing? Because we were still in Greenfield, Massachusetts. We were on the worm standard. Our certificates actually meant something. You could go in, you could cash in for worms. And what we would grow our worms in were coffee grounds, I would get coffee grounds from my mom, and I would dump them into this wash tub that was then filled with worms.
This is amazingly high tech, by the way.
It's also fascinating morning radio.
You got me. I'm actually enjoying this.
This would be fascinating radio anytime.
It always looked to me like the worms were really comfortable in the coffee grounds. And to my feeling, being buried in Seattle is not unlike being a worm living in coffee grounds.
You know what we're going to do for you?
What are you going to do?
We're going to actually bury you in Starbucks coffee grounds. Okay, how about that?
Because Starbucks
here.
Their new slogan is Starbucks. Our coffee is just a little worse than McDonald's. Isn't that their new after the new thing? That's the new slogan they're going with. Just a little worse than McDonald's. See, that's not. It doesn't matter when they do taste tests and McDonald's ends up being better. That's not the point of Starbucks. The point is we have good coffee because we state it. It's not.
That's America.
Yeah, well,
I mean that's the greatest thing about
and you
this
also
country.
You also have the only Starbucks with breasts. Right?
Yes.
Isn't it down? I've gone to that.
With the mermaid thing.
Yeah,
right?
the mermaid. The mermaid has breasts.
Those were the days, by the way.
That's why Bruce Lee was married here.
Yeah.
He's, Cato.
He may have been married here too. Do we have that?
Cato wants.
Yes.
Cato wants to have a mermaid with breasts.
Now here's what I got to do.
It makes sense that we have all these coffee stands with girls in bikinis. It's kind of like an extension of the Starbucks brand.
Yeah, except the Starbucks brand, they actually down where they throw the fish. Where the original Starbucks is, they actually are, they're showing nipple and areola on the Starbucks logo. And that just makes my little heart jump, or something.
Yeah. And that is
blood's rushing somewhere.
It would be nice, that's what made Starbucks again, it was part of its charm. And of course, once you go corporate in this lovely country, all of a sudden there's some idiot in the Midwest that says, "Well, that offends me, and I won't drink your coffee till you remove the areola." We have to bow to those people because look what happens in life. It's the dumbest thing in the world.
I won't drink your coffee until you remove the areola.
I'm standing by that.
I think it was originally Ed Gein that said that.
I don't think he minds if I crib.
I believe if it's areola, it's tea and not coffee. I think it's an herbal drink.
So let me be professional.
Please.
I have to say, of course, that the reason Penn Jillette is here is because
he's going to be buried.
He's going to be buried here
in coffee grounds like a giant night crawler.
But before they bury him, you're going to get to see 3 great shows. And I've told you this before. Look, we'd have Penn on anyway, but when it comes to telling you about going to see some entertainment, we don't just promote anything on the program because I want, when you go out and spend your money, I want you to have a great time. And if you haven't seen Penn and Teller live, this is something you have to do. 3 shows, 3 opportunities next weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Paramount. Tickets are still available. Great seats. Go to stgpresents.org.
The BJ Shea Morning Experience on 99.9 KISW.